Hey guys, so I'm back today to talk about my actions, Skin Texture Pro 4 and Skin Depth Pro 2, because I got some recent questions. Now, this potential customer said, hey, I'm new to NBP, never heard of it. What are these about? Are they like Evoto? Are they like Retouch for me? And I wanted to answer that and also show you some demos and also raise some questions for you guys. And I'll get to that in a little while. But the first thing is, no, these aren't AI. These are skin mastering actions that create beautiful advanced layer stacks for you to do all kinds of things with. Here's the frequency one, which is technically frequency, but we call it Texture Pro. We run that, and then we run the toning one after it. And the way it does toning is completely unique. So I'm kind of doing a refresh, a kind of reintroduction into these actions because I got these questions recently. And of course, we've seen plugins and skin editing things evolve. So first things first, something like Evoto, something like Retouch for me has its place, and I recommend use it. In fact, this shot has a very light pass of Capture One's face editing on it, to be honest with you. And it doesn't need a whole lot. Brianna doesn't really quote unquote need editing, but this one already has these two actions of mine run on more or less default settings. I'm going to kind of walk you through what happened, then we're going to take another shot and we're going to run the action and show you how it works. Now, the AI that it does use is for Photoshop to select the skin. And on a good clear shot, it usually has no problem with that. However, you can modify the mask manually, which is another benefit of doing everything on, here on the layers. For example, hold down Alt or Option, you can click and there's the mask. Not bad. And you can tweak as needed. Depending on how radical your changes are, you may or may not need to tweak. So let's go ahead, double click the magnifying glass so we can see 100%. Okay. And I want you guys to bear with me because we're going to be looking at her neck and chin. Oh, excuse me about that. We're going to be looking at her neck and chin and chest. So we're not just trying to be inappropriate here. We're trying to talk about, look at the skin texture. We're also going to look at her legs with all the water beads. It's very, very important that you look at the water beads because that is a texture preservation that we're going to talk about. Let's turn off the toner. As you can see, just very subtle toning, but also helps with some shaping and color, right? But here is the texture one. Let's turn that one off. You see how the shot looks very out of camera. We have some discoloration, some grays, some reds here and others. And the water beads are there, but they're not as pronounced. And then we turn on our frequency, our texture mastering layer, and we can see everything that has happened. And then of course we then flatten, it does it automatically, and then we move on to our toning layer, and that's why we can go from here to here. And I recommend if you're not watching this on 4K, please do, because you can kind of see these results. Let's look at this again. Let's look at the original. There's the original, and there is the mastered. Okay, you can see the depth and that kind of commercial skin look that it gives. Now, if you have a huge major gash or a scar or something on the leg, no, this is not going to fix that. That's not the point of it, right? The idea is to master skin tone, whether it's texture or color, and marry colors together to give a nice pleasing color. And you can, dial in the exact opacity that you want, etc., etc. So that's how that one looks. But out of curiosity, let's run it on a different one and let's see what happens from the ground up. Okay. So my recommendation is to a workflow will look something like this for these actions. I'm going to double click again, go to the magnifying glass, look close up. These dark spots are actually shadows from the water droplets because I was shooting at a very, very high shutter. And so they were creating shadows, and I found that they were a little distracting. So I'm going to just come in and use the remove tool and quickly get rid of some of these deeper shadows that I felt weren't really helping the shot. This is what I recommend you do because that's not what the actions are for. And historically, even the AI functions don't always do great on body things. Anything on the body. Faces, they're programmed to work with, but body kind of messes them up. There's a lot here. I'm not going to mess with all that, but you get the basic idea. Do your basic simple healing of things you don't want, right? Gonna go ahead and hit OK and let it think on that one. I like to use the remove tool for that sort of thing. And done. Okay, cool. And then now, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and double click back to the magnifying glass so we can see actual pixels. So here's the main action, Skin Texture Pro 4. You notice it has a run button, and then there's two actions underneath it, and they both have a no symbol on them because they're conditionals. All you do is run the main one. It'll decide which one it needs from there. It's basically trying to figure out, did Adobe AI find the skin or not? If it didn't, it'll run a backup idea to try to find the skin in a different way, right? So there's two different actions. It'll make the decision on its own. You just let it run. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let this run for real time. This is not a super new, but kind of a newish 3-year-old, maybe iMac M chip. It runs pretty good. This is a 21 megapixel image. And I'm going to go ahead and just hit run. And I like to duplicate my background layer first. And then it's going to make all these decisions. And what I'll tell you while it's running is that people, when they see my more advanced actions and they see this big layer stack, they immediately get intimidated and say, I can't work with that. Well, okay, fine. Think about the layer stack, like instead of sliders and buttons, you have layers that you are probably familiar with or potentially familiar with in Photoshop. You can do anything. See, the sliders in a third-party app, when you open up the window, you get the sliders. That's it. Here, you get Photoshop layers. That means you can do anything. And the more comfortable you get with it, the more you know about Photoshop in general, the more modifications you can make. Maybe not to the action directly if you don't want to, but you can add a layer exactly where you want it. You can modify a mask manually. You can create a mask. You can do a blend if you want. Who knows what you can do because they're just Photoshop layers. So the challenge was to create a skin mastering function in a layer stack. So you're not going to a third-party thing and just hoping and then coming back. All right, let's see what we did, right? And then we'll kind of walk you through a little bit here. You notice the first thing that I took you to was the fine contrast. We'll get to that in a minute. All right, so there it is. Let's go ahead and turn it off and see what it looks like. As you can see, it looks out of camera, and then we'll turn it back on and we'll see what all that mastering, that texture mastering looks like. Give that just a second. There we go. And let's look around our image and see what we got. Okay, again, remember the water beads? There's her legs. Okay, turn that off to see what it looks like. You can see it's not bad, and we can turn it back on. It'll rebuild all the layers. Now, a couple of things you can do once this comes out. First of all, you have this linear contrast. That is just there to kind of replace contrast because a lot of times shots get a lower contrast when you run this action on them. It's just the nature of it with some of the blurring operators and stuff. So that's there to immediately counteract that. But on very high contrast shots like this, it's sometimes too much. And that's why these eyeballs are right here on the layers. You can just turn on and off what you don't need, or you can make it like a 10% opacity. So it's just barely adding a little bit of contrast, and it goes from there. Now, let's go ahead and zoom back in. I'm going to go to her leg because of the water beads. Remember I told you that it starts immediately on the fine texture, okay? That fine texture is a layer that's been calculated from a frequency separation extraction. But then above it, we have a contrast layer that's clipped down to control just it. Because these kind of layers, the way it's been done with the calculations, the fine texture, is contrast increases, well, contrast, which increases the power of the texture, right? So fine contrast is set to about a 30, just to keep it simple. It can be done with curves, but it's a little bit trickier. So we just use fine contrast. Let's go ahead and bump it up to like something high and see how the contrast changes. See that? So now we're boosting the sharpening, the contrast of that frequency. Notice the lower frequency has not been boosted. We can prove that because if we put this back to 30 and we come over here to our broad texture, right? And we go to our broad contrast, which has been reduced by -50, okay? If I increase it, you'll see the broad contrast come out. See, so we're bringing out broad contrast. The water beads aren't changing, but this is usually where the problem areas on skin are. This is what you usually want to reduce. So that's why I start with like a -50 and it smooths that out. So what does it look like off? Fine. And then on. You see what I'm doing? I'm managing different frequencies. So you could, in theory, bring this even lower, like to a -60. And you could take your fine contrast and make it even stronger to like a 40. Is that the best solution? Look, I don't know. I want you to play with it and test and see. But you can see off and on, we're smoothing the skin, but we're keeping beautiful water beads, right? Okay. Now, a lot of times skin texture on faces gets a little overcooked here. And this is why, again, this is why there's a benefit of having multiple layers as opposed to just a third-party window. I can take a black brush right now on my fine contrast here, and I can go ahead and brush out her face if I feel there's too much texture in her face. Or I can put it like 50% opacity on my brush and make it 50% opacity on her face. Or I can leave it at 100% and remove all the texture enhancement on her face. And then on that layer, oops, I'm at 50%. Let's make it 100. Really smooth it out. Something like that. Okay. And then on that layer, because there's a layer, I have layer options, including density. And I can dial in more of the face texture all the way back up or a little less and dial in on one. That's the benefit of having layers. We can control everything the way we want. We can even just simply turn that off and let the natural texture dominate. But usually we want to enhance the fine texture while reducing the low texture. So that's what happened there, right? Now, we also have all kinds of things like luma compression, okay? What this does is it kind of, let's go ahead and max it out. It kind of makes the luminosities match a little bit more. It's something you don't want to do too heavy. It's usually set to 10. But if you have a super high contrast situation, sometimes you just kind of turn that off if it's causing you issues. But again, you have the option to turn it off, right? This is called base smoothing static. On all my actions, if you see parentheses static, it means you don't touch that layer. It's just there for the math, right? Secondary smoothing, that's adding a separate smoothing of of kind of usually overkill. I can prove it to you by hitting 100%. And you can see how smooth that is. That is just to give you another quick layer quickly without adjusting texture contrast to give you something quick. It starts at 10%, let's say 20% maybe. If you want to turn it off because it's causing too much trouble for you, you can. It's a very, very subtle effect. Then we have manual smoothing, which starts at 100%. And that's if there's problem transition areas that you want to attack. You paint with white, so you can just paint specifically where you want to smooth, and it'll still keep the texture, okay? You can barely see that there, but you see how we're smoothing that out, but still keeping the texture. That's if we want manual smoothing areas. And then we can change the opacity of that if we need to. Paint literally is exactly that. You take a paintbrush and you can paint with a color and the texture still has. This is frequency separation just right there. That's to fix specific problem areas that are causing you issues, right? Hue uniformity, I'm gonna put that at maximum so you can see. As you can see, it'll take an average of all the skin tone and then apply it to all the skin. Right now it's at 100%. By default, it starts at 20%. You can just kind of dial that in. So maybe you want 50, maybe you want 100. A little hard to see, I know, in the video, but I'm gonna put it on 20. It just makes the skin tone married a little bit better. You can, once again, make a mask on that if you're like, oh, okay, hold up a second. At 100%, I don't know that I want 100%, but you can see that, oh, okay, I need to bring back the lips because they're supposed to be pink, cool. And now when I go to 50% opacity on that layer, I know that at least I'm getting a 50% without messing with the lips, right? And then we have the HSL adjust, and that can let you change the hue of the skin overall on the fly. You can even change the saturation technically of the skin, even though I don't believe, no, it should work, but no, not the blend mode that it's in hue, it won't work. There was a previous version that I had it in color blend mode for saturation, but I realized it was causing too many problems. So never mind, it will work with hue. And then of course, I told you about the linear contrast earlier. You can turn that on and off or reduce it. Now that's just the texture management, right? Okay, that's the whole point, is to give you that kind of commercial look. Okay, from there, this is the original. And then now we go to here and you can see there's a lot of smoothing going on, but the water beads are still strong. I use the water beads because it's just a good example of that frequency management that, that I talk about. Now, from here, we can leave it alone and run Skin Depth Pro 2, and it's gonna run another process. While it runs that process, I'll mention that the Skin Depth Pro layer stack is even more intimidating for people. However, the vast majority of it, you don't have to use. It's just options. Some have given me feedback in the past that they'd like to see a simpler version of it. Like there's an advanced stack and a simple stack. And I said, you know what? I agree. That makes sense. So we'll probably work on that to create one that just has the core things. And then maybe some that in a different version has everything. So let me walk you through what's going on, because when you first run Skin Depth Pro, there is no result. Everything is just there. There's nothing has been done yet to the image. But let me explain how it's been broken down. There's a lot of math going on there. You don't have to worry about it. The core thing, and why it starts you here in midtones HSL, is because if you hold down Alt Option and click the midtones layer, you'll see the midtones have been extracted. If you're used to masking, this is the opposite of masking, just the way the blend modes have been set up. In other words, the black areas are what's being affected, and that is the midtones, right? And then of course the shadows, you can see the shadows there. That's again the black areas. And then on the highlights, we have the highlights, that's the darker areas. So those are being affected. What is this set up for? Mathematically, this is a color replace, HSL replace, HSB replace. Double click the layer, that's just a solid color layer. I can make any color into the mids. Any color at all, does not matter. I can make any color that I want. Is that super useful in most cases? Not really, but at the same time, if you come in here and choose a pretty decent skin tone, and you can come to the S and take the saturation down manually until you find something good, take the hue up a little more yellow maybe, darken a bit if you wanted to, etc. Cool. We've dialed in like a warm skin tone off and on by doing HSL replace. We're not dumping color on top, we're simply replacing it. Okay, so with that said, we can also do the shadows. So for example, when I say any color, I mean any color. You can replace the shadows with white, which is chaos, but you can't, right? But what about a little bit of subtle toning? And I do mean a little. It could be something like a brightness of 2 and a saturation of 50 and like a very subtle purple tone. Who knows? It could be that, off and on, okay? Another thing you can do is just simply use the midtones, for example. Let's go ahead and reset it to 0, 0, and 50. Right? You can just use this to darken just a little bit of the midtones. Make it like 46, no colorizing at all, right? Because then you have, for example, another awesome tool here is the gradient map color wash already set up for you. So you tap the gradient map, open it up. And if you've installed, they come with the action set. If you install the skin tone gradients, you can start tapping skin tones until you start applying different skin tones on top to see what it looks like. Cool, you like that. It starts at 30%, which is high maybe. So 15% or something like that could change that. Now, overall, I've also noticed that when you're adding color and you're managing your color toning and all that, one thing that can happen is the saturation can get a little out of control. This is why way down here at the bottom, we have a desaturation layer that's off currently. You turn it on, it desaturates everything because that's what it's designed for. Why? Because very quickly, when you're on the move tool and you click that layer, you can just hit 1 for 10% opacity. Now I've reduced the opacity of the desaturator by 10%, meaning I've desaturated the original tone a little bit, allowing me a little more freedom to tone on top, right? Usually, anyway, that's my notice anyway. So off and on, and I'm creating like a sort of warm tone kind of thing to it. And there's all kinds of different options you can do. For example, let's say we turn on the highlights boost, okay? You can see there, double click real quick, on her leg and her chest, it became very, very evident. Let me show you what I mean. Off and on. Beautifully pops the highlights with that shiny sort of skin outdoor swimwear look, right? Mind you, we're still just managing skin. We haven't even done color grading or finalizing of the image. And I haven't even done a proper edit on this before. A few minutes of some healing and maybe some key dodge and burn here and there where I want it. Then I can master the skin exactly like I want. So let's turn all this off a second. Let's go back down to 100% again, right around here. Close that. Now, if I hold down Alt or Option and click the layer by itself, there's out of camera. And there's what we've done so far, which looks really, really great on swimwear, glamour, things of that nature, especially if there's a shiny skin look. This is really, really premium for that. And what's cool is that even though what the toning panel, the toning layers are overpowering this one. If you turn this one off, it's not there. It had to flatten to recreate the HSL separation. So if you really need to go back to the texture management one, you'd have to delete this and start over. Not usually a crisis, but once you get used to the workflow, you'll be able to commit and you'll know when the skin texture one has worked pretty well. Often I take this whole folder of the skin texture and I'll arbitrarily make it 80% so I'm not overcooking, and then I'll flatten to a new layer and then I'll run the skin depth one, right? All kinds of choices in here. You can turn on overall contrast boost if you need it, if you want. You can turn on the shadows booster, which is usually very strong. You scale back the opacity. Overall shaping was just a little bit of, this is really important for low contrast, especially black and white images too. It's great for creating shapes, etc., etc. So in terms of shaping of the skin and all that. We have an HSL adjuster at the base in case you need to start with just a general shift towards yellow or something of that nature. Very, very small changes. And you can see the power of these already. Now, once you have these two giant layer stacks, you don't have to panic. You can flatten them or you can flatten to a new layer and continue your workflow. But I'm opening this up for questions. If you guys have questions or thoughts for updates on how we can do to make these actions even more useful for you guys, apart from a simplification version, you know, like we have one that is a basic one for the color toning and then one that's advanced for the color toning. That's definitely something I'm going to be working on. It's just a little bit tricky because these actions have like 250 steps each, but you can see the difference about how we're mastering texture and we're mastering tone. That's the entire point of them. AI is great, use it to remove stuff, but when you want to really dial in the skin for that mastered look, that commercial look, that's why these actions exist.